tells us to give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his mercy endures forever. Our God is a God of mercy. He is a God full of compassion. He is a forgiving God. He is our strength, our rock, and he is our everything. This is why whenever we fall into sin and go back to God, he restores us back to himself. So it is important to know that our God is a God of restoration. Our God is a God who comes through for us in our weaknesses. In your weakest point, God will come through for you. Imagine a father who abandons his child in times of need. It does not happen. And that is why these days there is a name for such fathers. They are called deadbeat fathers. But our God is not a deadbeat father. He is a God who is always present in times of trouble. He is a God who walks with us. He is a God who is always with us in every situation and in every detour of our lives. We look at the children of Israel. They kept offending God in the wilderness, despite the fact that God had removed them from slavery and he wanted to give them independence. He wanted to give them freedom. But they kept disobeying. They kept complaining. They kept grumbling. Even after he had fed them manna from heaven, even after he had parted the Red Sea from them, and they crossed and their enemies were destroyed. When they went to the other side, they still had something to complain about. They started complaining that they had no water to drink. And even after God gave them water, they always had something to say. They always had a complaint in their heart. This is our nature as human beings. But because our God is full of mercy, he is ready to walk us this journey. He is ready to walk with us in this journey all through. So he is a God of restoration. It doesn't matter where you are in life right now. It doesn't matter what has happened. It doesn't matter what has invaded you. Some of us have been invaded by locusts. And these locusts maybe are not the actual insects, but you could have been invaded by locusts in human form. Let us remember that our God is a God of restoration. And when he says, I will restore you back to yourself, to your old self, he exactly means that. We are going to look at the situation of the children of Israel. A time came when they were invaded. All their land was invaded by locusts. I don't know if you have seen locusts. A swarm of locusts can come and invade and eat up every green plant that is available. So this is what had happened to the children of Israel. And these locusts, they ate up everything. What does that mean? You have your plantation, you have planted. That means your seed that you had put into the ground, your previous seed, your current seed, and your future seed has been destroyed. So it means you are left there desolate, not knowing what to do. This is what happens to most of us. We are left desolate. Maybe you have lost your job. Maybe you have lost a relationship. Maybe you have lost something that was so precious to you, and you don't now know what to do. Here are the words of the Lord to the children of Israel, because he comes and brings back whatever you have lost. And we are told, what you lose for the sake of the kingdom, you'll receive 100-fold more. Because sometimes God can send locusts to come and destroy what you have. Why? Because we are not listening. God is saying here to the children of Israel, O soil, do not be afraid. Be glad, rejoice, for Yahweh has done great things. Talking to the soil. Beasts of the field, do not be afraid. The pastures on the hill are green again. The trees bear fruit. Vine and fig tree yield abundantly. This is after the destruction by the locusts. The locusts had destroyed their crop for a whole year. That means a whole year's work has been destroyed, and they did not know what to do, meaning they have no food. It is during starvation. But our God is giving them hope. Our God is telling them He will restore them. And this is what He's telling them. Sons of Zion, be glad. Rejoice in Yahweh your God, for He has given you the autumn rain, since He is just. We are looking at the justice of God. We are looking at the mercy of God. We are looking at His unfailing love, and has poured the rains down for you. The autumn and spring rain as before. The threshing floors will be full of grain. Imagine they were empty, but now they will be full of grain. The vats overflow with wine and oil. They will have plenty. This is a bountiful blessing from our God. I will make up to you for the years. Listen to this. Our God of justice. He is telling them here in verse 25. I will make up to you for the years devoured by grown locust and hopper, by shearer and young locust, my great army which I sent to invade you. So God can send an army, and He can use anything. He can use locusts. He can use flies. He can use whatever type of insect. Let us remember He created all these creatures, and He can use them for His glory. Now here He had used locusts to come and destroy the fields that these people had planted, but not because He wanted them to suffer. It is because He wanted to glorify Himself. When we are not listening to God, when we are not obeying God, He will send locusts, and He will send them to come and destroy your lands. Maybe it is a job that you really rely on, and God wants to change your perception. He wants to give you a different story. It is God who rewrites our stories. And whatever situation you are in, He will change your story and give you a different story. He can even change your name. He changed the name of Jacob to Israel after he had wrestled with the angels. He changed the name of Saul to Paul. God can change even your name, even your situation, wherever you are. God can give you a new beginning, a new restoration. He can change anything that is not serving Him, so that we can start serving Him faithfully. And He is saying that I will make up to you for the years devoured by grown locust and hopper, by shearers and young locust, my great army. Listen to that. He's saying this is His army that He sent. He doesn't have to send an army of humans holding guns and machetes. Remember the children of Israel in the desert. He had sent serpents to bite them so that they can come back to their senses, and so that they can know that there is a God up there who takes care of them. I don't know what God has sent your way. Has He sent serpents? Has He sent locusts? But what He's telling us today is that He will make up for the years devoured by grown locusts and hoppers, by shearer and young locusts, which are His great army. You will eat to your heart's content. You'll eat your fill. That is now the promise. He is a God of hope. He's a God of restoration. He's a God of mercy. He's a God that is just. And praise the name of Yahweh your God, who has treated you so wonderfully. My people will not be disappointed anymore. So if you are there discouraged, seeing like you have reached the end of the world, just know that it is not over until God says it's over. He is the one who will restore you. He is the one who will bring back what has been lost. And he says he will bring back and repay the years that the locusts have devoured. It is not you who will restore yourself, it is God. Because he has said, when the time is right, I myself will make it happen. Are we ready to wait for the time that the Lord will make it happen? Are we ready to go through this journey, holding God's hand and not leaving it alone? For remember, we have been told that those who wait upon the Lord will mount on wings like eagles. Are we ready to wait for God to restore those years that the locusts have eaten? Locusts are of many types. You could have gotten yourself into addiction of some kind. You could have gotten yourself bankrupt. But God is saying He's coming to repay all those years that were devoured by the locusts. And He's calling them His great army. So whatever has befallen you, God is aware and He knows. And He's coming back to restore you back to your former glory, to restore you back, to give back even more than what you have lost. Remember, Job was paid twice what he lost, and he was even given better things, and he was given a longer life. And that is the justice of God. Whenever you lose something for His glory, He will come back and restore it in a mighty way and in a bigger way. And so we are asked to just look out upon God, to just wait upon Him until He restores us back to our former glory, because that is His promise, that He will bring back. Listen to verse 26. You will eat to your heart's content, will eat your fill, and praise the name of Yahweh your God, who has treated you so wonderfully. My people will not be disappointed anymore. After He has come through for you, you will not be disappointed anymore. So don't you worry. You could be seated there broke with no money. But the Lord our God, who is so faithful, who is so loving, who is so caring, will come back and restore you. Remember, He has told us He will never leave us, neither will He abandon us. And in verse 27, He says, and you will know that I am in the midst of Israel, that I am Yahweh your God, with none to equal me. My people will not be disappointed anymore. Meaning, when He comes to restore you once and for all. And He will not allow you to be disappointed anymore. Remember, they have lost a whole year of seeds and plantation that the locusts had eaten. And so God is saying, I will restore all that you have lost, all that the locusts have eaten, because He's a God of restoration. Maybe you could be in depression right now because of what is happening around you. But God is saying He is the healer. He heals the brokenhearted. And He is close to those who are broken. If you are there broken, just remember that God is with you. And He has said He will not leave you. He will not abandon you. So it is important that we recognize our God is a God who is always present. Our God is a God who is truthful. Our God is just and He's full of mercy and compassion. He knows our needs. And when the locusts are done with destroying what you have, God will come through for you. I remember when we were young, those houses that we lived in were mud houses, and they were thatched with grass. That's where we used to live. And I remember one day our house caught fire and everything was burnt down. But can you believe our house was put up within a very short time, and we went back to the house and we even got a better house than the one that we had that had burnt down. Remember, these are the houses that people were living in. It is your kitchen, it is your bedroom, it is your sitting room, it is your everything. So this house caught fire and everything in it got burnt, every cloth. So we had no extra clothes. But even up to today, I cannot explain to you how we got clothed, because God is a God of restoration. God touched people who came and put up another house for us. And those were many years back when we were young. And I can tell you, I cannot remember whether we slept out. I think I was around 4 years old. I cannot remember, but I know that we got a shelter quickly back. So this is the God we are talking about. The God who is faithful, the God who is a restoration God, who will come and restore all what you have lost. There are people who are affected by floods. There are people who are affected by storms. I think in the US they call them storms. They come and clear even your house. They come and do all sorts of things. Others are ravaged by wars. There are people who are now living in fear. They are not in their homes. They are refugees, wherever they are. But I want to assure you that our God is a God of restoration, and He will restore you back to your former glory, because we all belong to one Father, and He's a loving Father. He's a faithful Father. I have seen Him in my life, guiding and directing my steps. Even sometimes when I don't know what to do, just looking up to Him, He comes with a solution, something you never thought about. And we have to trust that He is there with us. He will never leave us. He will never abandon us. And when He says that He will restore what we have lost, let us believe that He is a restoration God, and He will restore everything that you have lost, even better. Or He will even give more than you had before. Because Ephesians 3:20 tells us that He is capable of giving us more than we ever imagined or we even prayed for. So let us trust, let us believe, let us walk by faith. And we are told when we believe, we shall see the glory of God. We shall see the wonders of God. Because He's our God of wonders. He's a God who is faithful. He's a God of restoration. He is a God of miracles. He requires us, His children, to live trusting Him, obeying Him, and loving Him. And it means when you love God, then you love your neighbor. Because it's not possible to love God who you do not see and not love your neighbor who is next to you. So the message today is that whatever you have lost, God will restore, because He's capable of restoring. That is what we have heard from Joel 2, verse 25. And 26 is even saying that you will eat to your heart's content, will eat your fill, and praise the name of Yahweh your God, who has treated you so wonderfully. He treats us wonderfully. And that is the truth. And so let us continue trusting, let us continue believing, and we will see the wonders of God. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for blessing me with your presence, and may God continue blessing you. May God add you His grace, and may He restore what you have lost for the glory of His name. Amen. If you have liked this talk, please share it with your friends, your family members, leave a comment, and leave a respectful comment. And may God continue blessing you. Also subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed, and let us walk together in this journey of faith. Thank you. May God bless you abundantly.